Come on, come on. What's happening, good people? What's happening? What's happening? Appreciate y'all. It's gonna be a goodie tonight. Got the special guest, Latia, coming on tonight, talking about buying rental properties and using the BRRRR method. So I'm looking forward to this because I'm definitely looking to get some more rentals this year. There we go. Trick, what's happening, player?
Hey,
Dun dun dun!
what's going on?
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. The time is like moving by so fast. It's insane.
It is right. Like, look, Valentine's Day is right here.
It is. And then like Christmas is here, summer's here, it's gone.
Well,
It's
the
just,
well, the way COVID is like it all kind of like it's all the same right now. Like we can't.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's not on cruise control, but it's like it's just moving.
Right, exactly.
Like
Exactly.
being at the airport when you ride on the belt, you just know it's just going.
Right. Yeah, we just cross our fingers, wish for the best, and wait for this stuff to be over with. It's crazy.
For sure, for sure. Well, now I've been seeing you still been moving, so you
Yeah.
know I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, look, as an entrepreneur, I say it all the time, like one of the biggest secrets to success of any entrepreneur is mental agility. You got to be able to adjust. So COVID hit and a lot of people were like, oh, I'm like, bet. Like what opportunity are going to come with this, crisis, pandemic, whatever. And I did my best to take advantage of, whatever opportunities came up.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely just want to say thank you again for giving us this opportunity, for joining us tonight on the Investment Blueprint. For those of you who don't know, this is the BRRRR, the real estate queen, Miss Tia. She is here in the building. But I'll let you introduce yourself for those who don't know your social media, and where they can find you at. And also, you got a course coming up? You got any courses
I
coming
do. I
up?
do. February 6th and 7th.
All right, so go ahead and give them that information now too, because when we get it, I don't want to forget. So give it to them now.
Okay, cool. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tia Blair. I'm a real estate investor. I've been investing now for 14 years. I can't believe it. I picked up my first baby when I was a baby. I was only 23, and I had no idea that I would invest in real estate full time. But that's what I ended up doing. I'm now 37. I've accumulated a nice little portfolio, and I'm still going. And now I'm giving back and sharing my knowledge with other people. So I have my signature class that I do is called How to Build $1 Million Real Estate Portfolio in a Year, because that's what I do. I pick up $1 million or more worth of real estate every year, and I help others learn how to do the same thing. When you come from not much, which growing up we had a lot of love, we had no money. So I come from that place, and I know a lot of us come from that place. Buying $1 million worth of real estate, buying one house is like woo. But buying multiples. I have a webinar that I have out right now where I talk about how I picked up 30 rental units in the past 2 years. And if you told me a while back that I would be doing something like that, I could accomplish something like that, I'd be like, no way, not me. But I'm doing it, and I'm teaching other people how to do the same, and it's very rewarding.
Amazing, amazing. And I know for a fact, like you put a lot of energy and effort into your classes. Your classes are not just, hey, come here and, just let me talk. Like, no, you give them the full blueprint. You take them out in the field. You're giving them all the tools and resources that you use. So definitely hit the link in your bio. What's your
Yeah.
Instagram again?
At Tia Blair.
Okay. Make sure
Yeah.
y'all link in her bio. And make sure you guys support. I'm definitely sure you guys, $1 million in a year, that definitely changed somebody's life.
Oh, for sure. No doubt. This class changes lives every time. Millionaires are made every single time I do this class. I'm constantly, just this week alone, I got 3 testimonials. One student who just took my October class. She picked up 2 properties this month. One she already had under contract before class. Another one she got after class, but now she knows how to renovate them. Another student, Alicia, she just closed on her second deal. She was with me this time last year. So
Okay.
she's got 2 multifamily properties in 1 year. And one of my most senior students, who's in her 70s, she just partnered with somebody and got her a rental property. So my students are out here, they're, making it happen. I've really created an experience-based learning environment, because we all know that experience is the best teacher. So it's not just me up there talking. My students are actually doing the work, and I'm helping them with that. And that's, why they're just picking up property, making money. So yeah, it's good stuff.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And congrats to you for helping change those lives. So
Yeah.
so I think where we at? Yeah, I mean we in it now, so we might as well keep going. Make sure y'all share this with a couple of y'all followers, y'all friends. As I'm telling y'all not gonna want to miss this tonight. But we'll start out with, I got a couple easy questions for you. Can I give you the easy questions first?
Sure.
So for you, like you said, 14 years in the game is crazy. Like 14 years, like most people don't stay at their job now for 14 years. So it's like, how did you get started in real estate? Like what made you say real estate? And then how'd you make it not 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, but 14 years?
Okay. So with 14 years, I haven't been full-time in real estate for 14 years. I've been full-time for 5, but I started out, I fellish into it. So I'll explain that. I went to college, pursuing the American dream, and I studied broadcast communications, graduated, and I worked in television for 10 years. So when I worked for Fox News, NBC News, and CBS News. So when I bought my first house, I was working for NBC News in Raleigh, North Carolina. I know it sounds super sexy to be working for a TV station, but I was not making a lot of money. Definitely living paycheck to paycheck. And that was in 2007. And we all know what happened around that time, the market crash.
Right.
And so I bought this house that I could barely afford. I had to combine an FHA loan, a first-time home buyers grant, plus it was new construction. So I also got $15,000 of closing costs help from the builder.
Okay.
So all these things to come together for little me to buy a house. And they were like, not 1 cent more, ma'am. You can't afford no more. So I picked it up. And again, at that time, I knew I would rent it out. I was always fascinated with real estate. My father was actually a general contractor since the day I was born. So I always love telling the story about how when other little kids was at summer camp, that was my summer camp, my dad's job.
He was
stuff. Yeah. So I was obviously picking up, more knowledge than I realized,
Right.
And so yeah, I worked in television and it was going good. I got an opportunity to come to Philly, so that's what landed me in Philly. Well, truth be told, it was this guy that I liked. Cute. Thought I was cute. Yeah, no, I liked him, and he liked me.
Okay. And then he put a ring on it.
Yes, then he put a ring on. He was like, "You want to move?" I was like, "What I'm moving for? You let me know what I'm moving for. I'm grown now. I got a house. You let me know what I'm moving for."
Right. So, I got my house. Okay.
Right. So I did move to Philadelphia, and we did get married, right after that. But I came up and I started working right at the NBC station. I worked for NBC 10. That was my last stop. And I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to this. I did the work, got the degree, got the job that I always thought I wanted, and I'm there, and I'm like, yo, I'm miserable. This is not for me for so many reasons. One, I do come from a long line of entrepreneurs, and it's just like, I like to use my creative energy. I like to make decisions, all that good stuff. And I was just limited. I had too many boundaries on me, and I love to travel. Anybody who follows me sees that I love to travel. Even COVID not really holding me down too much.
Right. Y'all be out like every other month.
Why not? Why not? And I appreciate it so much because I worked the night shift. I used to produce the morning news. So I would get in like 10 p.m. and I wouldn't get off till like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I had to sleep during the day. And I would do that on weekends too sometimes. So just that freedom, when I talk about freedom, that's where it comes from, because I had it taken away from me, or I volunteered, whatever you want to call it. I signed up for that, to have it taken away from me. And it hurt, not having that time with family, friends, and then having a cap on my income and everything. I was making really good money by the time I got to Philadelphia. It was only 20 when I left. I was 27 when I left, and I was kissing six figures, which I never imagined like I would be making that kind of money. I was at like 93,000, whatever, and which was really good. But I was miserable. I knew I had to make a change. So I decided to leave to start a business. And I started that business. I did that for 5 years. It was like a coaching and consulting business. It failed miserably. Like I try to tell people as much as possible how bad I failed, like how bad it was, because a lot of people jump out there to be entrepreneurs, to be real estate investors, and they don't do well, and they feel like something's wrong with me, or, whatever, because enough people don't share like, yo, I failed too. That business didn't work for me either,
Right.
And so after floundering for 5 years, I was like, yo, Tia, you either got to go get a job again. I knew I could go back to TV
Right.
and get a six-figure salary, you know what I mean? Or just do something else. So I actually got an opportunity to do my first flip. Now, mind you, I was already a landlord at that point, because when I left that house, I rented it out. I've been managing it, from afar for a while. That was in North Carolina.
Okay.
And so I was already a landlord, but I said, let me flip. And I say I'm sharing that because a lot of folks tell you, you got to wholesale first, then you got to flip next, and then you become a landlord. I became a landlord first.
Okay.
I backwards. So, which is not really backwards. That's just everybody got to do it the way that makes sense for them. And
In the game. Right.
yes. So, I got a chance to do this flip, and I made $25,000 on my first flip. And I was like, oh yes, this is what we're doing, because I was struggling. I wasn't even making that a year in my other business. It was bad, like real bad. So I went on to do 3 or more of those that year. So I made 6 figures in profits from flipping in my first year. And then that tax bill came. I was like, oh, all that's not for me? Okay.
Did you did you say anything for Uncle Sam?
Yeah, I'm always like really responsible. So I didn't like make that money and started spending it. I kept reinvesting everything, actually.
Okay.
So, all right, let me flip this next one, sell it so I can get this money in, because I was doing everything all cash.
Right.
I didn't know about all the funding that's available to you that I certainly leverage now. So yeah, I said there has to be a better way, and then I started, because I didn't even know there were a bunch of people out here investing like me. I just had experience from being around my dad and watching HGTV, and that was it. And then I really started getting out and about with different meetups and different real estate clubs. And that's when I just learned some different strategies, started to test them out, started practicing the BRRRR strategy. And that really made things skyrocket. And I just started playing real life Monopoly after that.
Okay. So can we touch on the one thing that I picked up on earlier on, is about the failure part? So that was one of my later questions. So
Okay.
You put it ready, and I love being transparent about it. So that part, when you realized you said you stuck in there 5 years. So during that 5-year period, like, what helped you stay on course, like not to give up? Like, and I know you, like, at one point you did pivot into the real estate for the flips.
Yeah.
Just not quitting on the first dream. Like, what kept you going?
Well, I should have quit. And a lot of people, so it's interesting, a lot of people will tell you, don't quit, never quit. Yeah, sometimes you have to quit. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's time. And I tell people, I wish I failed faster. And sometimes as entrepreneurs starting out, we have these amazing ideas, or what we think is an amazing idea or amazing product. And I do think the service that I was providing was great. I just wasn't in my lane. That's all it was. I wasn't in my lane.
Ooh. Ooh, we not. I'm not gonna go there yet. Go ahead.
Because I'm gonna say one more thing and we can stick a pin in it, because so I hired a business coach, right? I've had a coach the whole time. Mentorship is a major hack. I tell my students all the time, I'm asking you to invest in yourself, to learn, to leverage the knowledge of someone else to get ahead faster. And I do the exact same thing I'm asking you to do, you know? So anyway, I've had a coach almost the whole time. It's made a huge difference. And the coach I was working with, she's amazing. And she gave me all this game, all this strategy to apply, and I would apply and I was still failing.
Okay.
It wouldn't work. And literally I shut down that business and I applied the exact same strategies, and I got it down pat because I did it consistently for so long, even though I wasn't making money from it, even though I wasn't, seeing results. I did the work. And, I knew it by heart. So I started applying immediately in this new business. I'm making multiple six figures from the exact same strategies. I couldn't even make 5 figures.
In real estate.
Yes.
So crazy thing is, I had a feeling you were going to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar experience. I tell people all the time, like, yo, I failed my way to where I'm at now.
Yes.
And I wish I would have failed a little faster, but I feel like we all got to go through that process of that time period when it's our time.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes it's like we learn it sooner than later, but other times, like, yo, you get other lessons, but you just don't know how they're gonna come, fruition, how they're gonna come through. So like I say that, like some people, I hear people like, oh, I shouldn't have went to college. I'm like, no, it's not that you shouldn't have not went to college. It's just, what did you take from it?
Right.
You're using it in another form. And that's so you said multiple things where you did go to college, you tried, you struggled, you figured it out, you kept going, and then on top of that, you even paid for a business coach, a mentor. Look, before mentorship was cool, everybody on IG is somebody's mentor now.
Yes.
On IG with one house, be like, yo, I'm your mentor. I'm the mentor. And it's crazy now, but I'm like, yo, no, you do need a mentor. You just need to vet these people and check their credentials, or get a reference. Like, get a reference. That's why I'm saying, no, Atia knows what she's talking about. She can be your mentor. No, she does this on the regular every day. Like, so it's like, just check who you're getting this information on. But most of all, every failure or every mistake you make isn't horrible. It's just a part of now something on your toolkit for you to learn and grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll expand on that because I know there are folks listening right now who need to hear this. During that period, I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I was actually used to being, a pretty high achiever, like being ahead of the game. And for the first time I wasn't, and it was really hard on me. And, it was just, and I'm, because I know there's somebody listening who's feeling this way too, but I'm so glad I went through that because I'm crushing it, if I may say so myself, in my business right now because of that struggle, because of that hardship, because of those failures, because I had to practice. There's a quote that's saying, we are rewarded in public for what we've done privately, privately over and over again, what we've practiced privately over and over again. So these strategies that I'm applying, I've done the work over and over again and failed at it and kept going anyway. And so anyway, the difference now is I'm in my lane and it feels really good. Yeah, it's good.
And I didn't know you did flips. So like, that's I like to hear about that. Like, so doing the flips and then going to the rentals, can I ask, like, what was that deciding factor? Like, yo, let me do the rentals instead of the flip. You were successful with
those taxes. That's point blank period.
Okay.
Taxes are heavy because of the amount of money I make. I'm in the highest tax bracket. It's been that way for a long time. I'll go ahead and just say I pay 6 figures in taxes every year. It's been that way for a long time. And so to get that tax bill is just like, I'm doing all this work. So like, say that first flip, all right, you make 30 grand. Nah, sis, you just made like 18, once they take their cut. I didn't like that. And well, I'm not going to start talking about the government on IG Live. They're going to shut us down. But I think that I can use my money better than the government can. So I wanted to figure out, and I do pay, you know, lots of taxes. I keep it legal, but with the particular strategy that I use, it's a tax shelter. So that's the property grabbers laughing at me. Yes. So
I got you. Now,
yeah.
and a lot of people don't talk about that because they just say, yeah, you know, you can flip one house and make 6 figures. No, Uncle Sam's gonna come for you eventually. So like, and that's one of the things I didn't know in the beginning. I tell people, like, I've had some good stories with flipping, I had some good stories with rentals, I had some bad. But knowing what I know now, it's starting out, and I mean, you could give me your opinion on it. Like, hey, I still would do the flips, but I would put it into some type of 1031,
Yeah.
and then somebody just said it too, put it in the 1031,
Yeah.
and then use
I'm trying to look at the comments. Yeah.
and then use that for a rental, and then take your method of the BRRRR strategy, and then pull my money back out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now I doubled up on what I would have did in the flip, but now I'm not paying no taxes because I ran it through the 1031.
Right. So what I decided after that was I will only flip if it was significant. So I actually did my first 6-figure flip. And so now I'm a flipping snob. Like, I won't flip for less than like 80, 90, 100,000. Like, for what, you know? So the last flip I did was a 6-figure flip. It was so sweet. I was like, my God, like, probably one of the sweetest deals I've ever had.
Okay.
So I did flip that, and I 1031'd out of it and I bought 4 properties.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. So you went from just this one building, and then you got 4 more assets that's going to pay you for the rest of your life, another 14 years in the game.
So yeah, so let me tell you about that. So it was it was super stressful while I was going through it, but it was a blessing because, and this was, I guess, maybe 4 years ago at this point. It was when that is what made me realize how much I can do. I didn't realize how much I could do until I had to do it. So for this 1031 exchange, the rules are the rules. You have to identify your property in a certain amount of days. You have to, you know, purchase it in a certain amount of days. You have to, you know, record everything, document everything the way it's supposed to be. So anybody got time for my stories or why I can't buy the property or this? You don't want to pay these taxes, you got this amount of days. And so with the way, and a lot of people don't know this, with the 1031 exchange, so I went into it thinking I just had to invest my profit on the 1031 exchange, and then I don't have to pay taxes on it. No, the government likes you to be in the same equity position that you were in when you started with this house. So you have to, even though like my profit was $100,000, I sold the house for $375,000. So I now had to identify $375,000 worth of real estate to purchase.
Okay.
So they held $100,000 in my money because you have to give the money to a 1031 intermediary, right? That money can never touch your hands, or the deal is null and void as far as the government's concerned. And so I'm like, cool, I can find $100,000. They're like, no, you have to find $375,000. And in fact, when you can still buy houses for $30,000, I'm like, oh my God, like how am I going to do this? And so I identified, I want to say it was 4 properties. And so by the time I purchased them, and that is just the purchase price. So let's say I'm buying a heavily distressed property, which is about all I buy. And I'm buying it for 70 grand. You know, you do the math, I need, you know, a couple of those, or 90. So I'm trying to find the most expensive properties possible, but still I need them to make sense. So It was a struggle to do that. And then they're only giving me $100,000. Because that's what so I had to come up with the rest of the money myself. So
okay.
It really pushed me. And after that, I started buying over $1 million. Once I saw it was possible, I did it. I got it done. And I was like, oh, we're doing this every year. That's when I started picking up over $1 million of real estate every year.
So how do you, like, so we identified the target now. So like, we know it's $1 million is a goal for the year, but can you like give us some insight on how to break that down for some people? Like, I know I'm a person, I need a goal, and then I need a few steps, and then I can follow along. But because if you tell me like, all right, I need to do $1 million, that seems like a lot to go from 0 to $1 million. So can you break that down on like how like somebody could take that process a little bit?
Hmm. So I'll break it down like real simple. Let's say we're working with 4 properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you pick up 4 properties that by the end of the renovation they're worth $250,000 each, that's $1 million.
There you go.
So let's say property one, I'm trying to think. All right, I have an example. It's not quite 250, but I just got an appraisal on the property. It was like 220.
Mm-hmm.
So this house I paid $35,000 for, and a small little house, single. I rarely pick up singles, but it's in the neighborhood that I like, so I bought it. I paid $70,000 for the renovation, so I'm all in at $100,000. And when I'm done, the goal is to always get all of my money back. So I take temporary funds, whether it's my money, hard money lender, private lender, whomever gives me the money. I put these deals together however I got to put them together. And then I get the money from wherever I got to get it from legally. And then I go to the bank for a long-term loan. I say, hey, bank, I made this house beautiful. Come check it out. They gave me an appraisal. Appraisal came in at 220. So I'm all in at 100,000 bucks. They're saying the value is now 220. So that's how you do it essentially. So I'm not spending $1 million. I'm not buying $1 million worth of real estate, but that is the value of it once I finish renovating.
So, and how long, I guess this process, like you said, if it's 12 months, I guess, so we do these like one every 3 months, basically?
Oh, that's a really good question. So when I started out and I was just using my own funds, all I could afford was one house at a time. That's all I had the money for, was one house at a time. And as I flipped and made money, like I said, I reinvested everything. So then I was able to afford like one and a half. So like while I'm finishing up one, I could afford to like start another transaction, but I couldn't like renovate it. I didn't have enough money for all that. So anyway, now because of the strategy I use, I have 5 rehabs going on right now, and I'm rolling out of one and picking up 2, so it'll be 6 rehabs.
Ooh.
Able to do that because I'm leveraging other people's money. And so when I started out, I would have goals like, oh, I'm gonna do 8 flips. So the year I did 4 flips, I was like, I'm gonna do 8, but I did not understand the life cycle of these renovations, So now I understand it, but I just run them up all at one time. I try to buy in the same area so my crew can go boom, boom, boom. And I could pop in here and there. So yeah.
Nah, that's dope. So in this, I 2 questions, but I'm gonna do the first one. So for you being a female investor, did you find that to be challenging at all? Being in an industry that is supposed to be, mostly males.
I love that question, and honestly, I love I love everything about being a woman. I'm not even just going to get into too much of that, but
Okay.
look, I get it. I understand how being a woman in general, but certainly in a man's industry, can feel a bit daunting. But it works for me. To me, there are advantages. And I want to say about 80% of the students who come to my class are women, which I love. So I'm giving them the game, how to, wrangle the boys, and, how to run your jobs and make sure you get the respect that you deserve. Like when I roll up in my job, they know what it is, they know who it is, and they know I don't play no games. I'm a very nice and kind person, but I'm very firm on the job. So there are no like blurred lines. I
Right.
don't tolerate things like my guys who, for the most part, my team, they've been with me for a long time. So everybody knows how I roll at this point. But every once in a while, I bring on a new tradesman or whatever, and he might sweetheart me. No, I'm not your sweetheart. You don't call
Right.
me sweetheart, right? My
Right.
name is Atia. That's all you call me. That's it. Point blank, period. Or if they looking at me some kind of way, I'll straight up be like, yo, what are you looking at? Don't look at me like that. You need to be watching them cabinets, paying attention to these floors, and that's about it. You know what I mean? So I'm very firm. And then once people know what it is, then I can relax and chill. And I treat my guys nice with respect. We finishing up a job. I'm buying them pizza. I'm buying them donuts. Might run some coffee here and there, whatever. But I am very firm on my job. I write the checks, and they know it, and I treat them with respect, and they treat me with respect. But you have to demand that respect, because they're going to try it.
Well, so thing is though, I think whether it's male or female, contractors gonna try everybody because that's for some reason that's in
Sure.
the contractor's nature. They all do it at first,
Right.
and like
Let me see what I can get away with.
right, and that's the thing. Like you said, like yo, I don't come out the gate like with the guns blazing. Like yo, I expect like yo, I'm paying you, you gonna do your job. But every once in a while, like you said, it's one that they try to take you there, you know.
Yeah.
And like you see, like all like my team now, like yo, we don't have them problems. Like
No.
everybody know, everybody show up, we good. It's ha ha ha. But like, all right, did you finish that? Is that
Right.
loose? Like, what's up?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, but I know, but I talk to, like you said, most of the people that come to your class are females. Most of my clients are females, and I know like their question is, well, I'm a little nervous because you know, I'm a female, and I can't necessarily relate, but I'm like, yo, most people want to just make money, so don't even. I tell them just don't worry about it. So it's like to hear your
Not
perspective.
something you gotta worry about because some people like get real ignorant with it. You know, I had this one guy came in, he was a mason to give me an estimate, and we right in the middle of the conversation. This is the first and last time I ever encountered this. It was wild to me. We're in the middle of the conversation. I'm telling him what I want. I needed him to part some walls for me before we started framing. And he's like, he stops. He goes, you know what? Is your husband coming here? Because I prefer to speak to a man. I was like, no. Where the cameras at? Because this can't be. This is not real life. So, yeah, I let him know what it was and walked him out. You know, so
Look,
I don't even want
you
to
could
buy my job.
right, you could kiss that check goodbye, buddy. Go ahead and give
And
somebody an estimate.
And he was, first of all, he priced me too high. I know what my number should be. And I was like, you know, just give me your best number. And I asked him that when we walked in. So by the time I'm walking him out, he's dropping his price. I'm like, no, thank you. And he continued to call me for about 3 weeks after that because he really wanted the job. I was like, nah, go work for a man. That's what you want to do? You like only like men's money? You don't like women's money? Well, go and get the man's money then. You know, so because I was like, my husband doesn't come to my job. I don't go at his job watching over his shoulder what he do. He don't come to mine. Nah, you got to be kidding. He come here, blah blah blah. So it was wild. It was wild. It's funny to be honest.
Can you talk about that? So I love to hear like, yo, you're a female doing your thing and you're married. So like, can we talk about how was it that, like, as you said, you had another business before this. Like, so was it hard to get your spouse to be on board with you to go ahead and, you know, keep chasing your dream?
Mm-hmm. My husband is the absolute best. I mean, he's like ridiculously supportive. Huh?
I said, salute to the king. Salute.
Yeah,
Salute.
man, I got a real one. So, and we've known each other for so long, so he knows me and knows what I'm made of. And we met when I was 18, actually. When I wanted to leave, because it was him who I was like, yo, I'm miserable here. Something else had happened at work, and he was like, babe, leave. I was like, what you mean leave? He's like, just leave. Um, so so I did that, and you know, he held things down while I figured things out. And that's one important lesson for folks listening who are married or about to be married or want to be married at one point. Just on the financial literacy tip, one of the best things you can do with a partner or a spouse is live off one paycheck. And that is one thing that we did since we got married. So when it was time for me to leave, you know, we didn't love losing that income, but he was able to hold it down because we were financially disciplined in that way. We lived off of one income.
Nah, that's dope. And like I hear Malik talked about that when we did a live too.
Yes.
When I jumped out of Section 8, like yo, my wife held me down, but it's like, yo, it you know, it's like you said, it's give and take. Hold me down till we get here, and you'll get it back tenfold kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And he wasn't even looking to get nothing. He just believed in me. He wanted me happy.
Wanted you
And yeah. He's a believer of the happy wife. He's a part of the happy wife, happy life. And
I'm not gonna jump on that one. I'm not gonna jump on that.
yeah, leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's working for us. Leave it alone. Um, so, yeah, he's a part of Happy Wife, Happy Life movement. So, he's just like, oh, be happy, you know. And I salute him because he was super patient. He never was like, yo, babe, what you doing with your life? While I was failing all those years, he was just riding out. And He just believed in me and what I was capable of. He had watched me for a long time. You know, when he met me at 18, by 19, I was working for Fox News. So he was like, I know you're a beast, you're gonna kill whatever, just go, figure it out, you know, whatever. So that's how it went. But I like to share that with people. We lived off of one income. That's why we were able to do what we needed to do. And you snowball so much faster. Like a lot of people talk about leaving their job, and obviously I left mine, so I'm an advocate of it if it makes sense for you. But having a W-2, your job can be the biggest funder of your real estate investments. You know what I mean?
Wait.
And
Say it again. Say it again.
your
Say that part.
job, your 9 to 5, your W-2 can be the biggest funder of your real estate investments if you're not living paycheck to paycheck. So you live below your means. Even now, today, we live below our means. You know what I mean? We do well, so it's still a good life. But we've always done that, even when we made a third, a fifth. We've, you know, I've 10x'd my income since I left the TV industry. So but we still live below our means. It makes all the difference.
So I'm always telling people, especially now, I'm getting ready to start my first boot camp at the end of this month.
Okay.
And I like, my focus is like, no, like I only want to work really with people that have 9 to 5s, because I tell you, it's so much easier for you to grow with that 9 to 5 than it is for the person that like, yo, you quit and became a wholesaler and you ain't did no wholesale deals yet. Like,
right.
Yo, no, keep that 9 to 5 till you do a couple wholesale deals, or you get it under your belt. That 9 to 5 is honestly the easiest way, like you did, to buy the first property and turn it into a rental.
Yeah, do that. And then if you are in a situation where your spouse is working, they're able to flow everything while you focus on real estate full time, that thing can snowball so fast. You know what I mean? Because you can reinvest everything and just keep putting money back, putting money back, putting money back, putting money back. And then you can start to draw from it after you build it up.
Wait, you said reinvest it, let it build up. You didn't say nothing about once I make the money, go get me a Rollie, or go get me I don't know, go get me whatever these cool cars is that's out here. I can't get that after the first or second house.
Nah, not after the first or second. And that's what, you know, social media is a beautiful thing, and then it can really mess you up in the head at the same time. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna poo-poo the nice things, because I like nice things. But
we see you got that new blue thing. We see you got that new blue.
And you want to know the thing about that? And
what?
you know, I've been driving this particular Maserati. I've had her for going on 3 years now. I don't talk about it. I don't share it. I was literally doing a photo shoot. My car was outside, and the photographer was like, "Just, you know what I'm saying? Just," I was like, "All right,
Give them a little juice,
give
just
the
a little
people what
bit."
they want." Yeah. And I actually, before that, I had actually, because I do a challenge with the folks who attend my class, and the young lady who won, I like take them to a nice dinner and do like a Q&A and help them with their deals, whatever. So I took this one young lady who won the challenge to McCormick and Smith's on the DC Harbor. What do you call it? Not the DC Harbor. It's National Harbor. National Harbor. No, National Harbor right here in the DMV. So after I pull up in we walk out and I pull up to my car, and she's like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's my car." She's like, "Why don't you share this stuff? Why don't you tell people? Like, people want to see this." And I'm like, "I'll think about it," or whatever. I let her drive it. Because I really believe in like exposure. Once you get exposed to something, and once you see something, you can't unsee it. So I just wanted to, you know, share that with her. So anyway, I do like nice things, but I'm still living. But even with my Maserati, I'm living below my means. And matter of fact, this is my second Maserati. I've been driving a Maserati for 6 years, and nobody's known it. I don't feel this is the thing. I feel like it's so much of that on social media. It's already so many people showing you the jets that they can afford, the cars that they can afford. And it gives people the wrong impression, because people look at that and they feel like that is what true wealth is. And that is not what true wealth is. And so you see on my page, I'm just sharing about buying assets and building wealth and all that good stuff. So that's why I don't show a lot of the flash, and you know what I mean? Even though I share my travel, we be doing some dope stuff. There's just some stuff I don't share, because I don't want people feeling like that's what wealth is. That's not
That's
what wealth is. The cars, the houses, the this, the jewelry. That's not what wealth is.
right. Yeah, I talked about that with Jimmy and Corey last week at By the Hood. They was asking like what's some of the stuff I like to do. I'm like, yo, paying my kids daycare in full, like, paying tuition, or like you said, taking trips. Like my bucket list, like I gotta get the whole family to Disney now. Like
Yeah,
that's Matt with it. Then like as they get older, like you said, I got the itch though for some stuff. I got the itch,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
know, but now I'm flexing with the family. I'm
yeah.
flexing with the family.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. I mean, and that's why I post travel too, because a lot of the countries that I travel to, I don't see a lot of, people who look like me, and we should be traveling. And I was blessed because my family's from Trinidad. So that was like my first trip as a kid, going home to Trinidad to meet the rest of my family there. And then when I was in high school, I was a part of an international studies program,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in public school, and we raised money selling candy bars or whatever else. And we went to Europe for 2 weeks, and that blew my mind. And so ever since I started working, got my little coins, I've been traveling the world ever since. And there's so much to see and experience outside of our own neighborhoods and cities. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of travel. I will spend, like, everybody has their thing. I will take an amazing trip or a new adventure over like a new bag any day. That's just my thing.
Nah, that's what's up. That's
Yeah.
definitely what's up. Can we rewind or jump back in like to the real estate part in regards to like, so when we talk about the rentals in that process, you mentioned the BRRR method. For those who
Hmm.
don't know, can you just give us like your basic elementary level of the BRRR method
Sure. So
and why you find it helpful?
Okay, cool. So BRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. That's what BRRR stands for. So buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. I love the BRRR method. It really is a cheat code because it allows you to leverage the funds from someone else, leverage other people's money to get these deals done. And I'm really getting in and out of, people are like, Atia, how are you able to buy so much real estate so quickly? Are you like a bajillionaire? I am doing well, but it's not because of that. It's because I've learned the system. I've learned how to leverage other people's money. And with the BRRRR strategy, I'm able to get in and out of every property with $0 out of my own pocket. In and out, $0. I'm picking up these houses for free, like free, from nothing. And in most cases, I'm actually getting paid, essentially, pulling some cash from the properties to be able to roll into the next one. So just give you an example, I am closing on a property, supposed to close this week, but it's not going to happen. It'll probably be next week. So I'm picking up this property. It costs $95,000, right? So for the purchase, I have a private lender who's going to give me about 30 grand. Then I have a hard money lender who's going to fund the rest of it. So I'm buying it for nothing. The hard money lender is going to give me cash for 100% of the rehab. And that's $150,000. So it's a triplex. And when I'm done with this, so I'll be all in at about 220. I'll
Mm-hmm.
be all in about 220. Is that right? Nope, that's not right. I'll be all in at about 250,
Okay.
give or take. And the house will appraise for 400,000 when it's done. I know that because I have a couple triplexes around it already. So with that, then so all I've spent is about 250. I'm going to pay folks their money back, and then I'll be able to take a chunk of cash. I'll roll into a long-term loan. I know a lot of us were taught growing up, debt is bad, bad, bad. It's going to kill you. It's a murderer. But some debt is good. This debt's going to make money for me, so it's good debt. And so I'll get a chunk of cash from it in the form of equity that I can reinvest into another property. So my tenants in this property are paying for me to buy a new property. Plus, they are paying their rent. I will cash flow about $2,000 a month. And I actually, so I'll go ahead and share. It's one of my hacks to push up my cash flow on every property. I've
Mm-hmm.
been putting Airbnbs in my multi-units. and that pushes the rents up really high because, for example, all right, like the last one I did, the rent for the units in that building, I'm
Hmm.
charging like $11.50, but the Airbnb in that particular property brings me $3,000 a month.
Just
So
one unit.
just from the one unit, yeah, the Airbnb pays for the whole friggin' building.
But I love that balancing act though, because it's like, yo, if Airbnb ain't popping, at minimum, I still got this other rent coming in.
Mm-hmm. And I have some other hacks for when Airbnb not popping. I talked about mental agility. So obviously when COVID hit, it killed tourism, and obviously that feeds, Airbnb guests traveling. So
Right.
that really, I mean, it was a massacre. Like March, April, just not. I adjusted, and I'm back on top. So yeah, you asked about the birth strategy. So yeah, I'm getting in and out of these properties with no money out of my own pocket. And that's how I'm doing it.
For people's just starting out, so I know what you talked about using other people's money. Do you suggest newbies use other people's money, or do you think it's better for them to take that first hit with their money starting out to, minimize the risk and exposure?
The truth is, a lot of people will never be able to save up $100,000. That is a huge task for somebody to be able to save up
Well,
$100,000.
no, 30. You said I needed 30.
30 for what?
You said you had 30 from the private person, then you got the rest of the money from the hard money.
Right. Oh, so you mean for the 25% that has to be brought to the
Correct.
table? Yeah, so I put my own money in there sometimes, but if you can get it from somewhere else, fine. But the truth is, unless someone knows, likes, trusts, and believes that you can get them their money back, they're not going to give it to you. It's taken a while for me to build up my brand reputation for people to give me these large 5, 6 figure sums of money to invest. So if you can get it, take it, because it minimizes your risk. You have no skin in the game essentially, minus your knowledge. So yeah, if you can get the money, definitely take it.
Ooh, but you just said something key there. I don't know if they caught it.
Mm-hmm.
If I have the knowledge, I might not have the cash. How do I bridge the gap? Bring the deal, bring the knowledge, use somebody who might not care to do real estate but have the money,
Mm-hmm.
solve a problem, make their money, make money, you get to reach your goal and you get your asset.
Yeah, so my private investors who invest with me, that's what it is. They don't ever want to lift up a hammer or speak to the person who lifts up a hammer, nor do they have the time to do that. And so, and I do that in my sleep. So yeah, they bring the money and I do the work and they get a return and they tell their friends and they
Now
give me
you get
more.
more money.
Yeah. So
Now,
yeah.
so what about even the strategy where I know some people are talking about using like lines of credits and credit cards? Do you believe in like also using leveraging lines of credits and credit cards?
Yeah, so business credit is a beautiful thing. You definitely should try to establish, business credit out of the gate. Um, yeah, because I have lines of credit, and it helps me build business credit. And I actually just did a video. If you haven't seen it, go to my IG page. And I just did a video just talking about how I travel and I use these credit cards that I'm I'm using them for all of my real estate purchases, for the Home Depot runs, for the granite, the cabinets, the countertops, and I'm even now I've figured out a way to pay my contractors with my credit card, and so I'm spending money that I would have spent anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting all the points, all the rewards, and I use that to do one of the things that I love to do the most, which is
Right.
travel. Yeah, so and I mean we go to dope places. I think the most expensive trip we've taken we did a 2 weeks in Africa,
Oh,
not last year, the year before, which was incredible. And the flights were $14,000 because when I'm flying more than like 4 or 5 hours, I gotta go business class. So these long legs gotta stretch out. So if I can't go first class or business class after like 4 or 5 hours, I just won't go. So anyway, these flights first class to in and out of Africa were 14 grand, and I use points.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So we got one question. I think that's a good question. Somebody asked,
I'm
how,
trying to,
so how do you pay contractors with the credit cards?
that's like one of my secrets. You got to come to my class for that. My students, you know, invest to get that knowledge, so I can't just give that away. But
But when is the class? So like, just let them know when is the class.
it's February 6th and 7th. You can go to my page, click the link in my bio. It's a 2-day intensive. Amazing. You can see testimonials when you go to the page of, you know, my students who are getting amazing results, buying property, making money, all that good stuff. So yeah, tons of dropping tons of knowledge during those 2 days.
And then another question for you in regards to the mortgages and the BRRRR strategy. So do you do all, is it okay to like do all mortgages, or like you do a mortgage here, a free and clear here, a mortgage there?
You know, it's tough. You know, I think every investor is different. Some people are about that free and clear life. I'm not. Some people are about, you know, heavily leveraging debt on everything. I'm not necessarily. So I wouldn't say I'm in the middle. I definitely see the power and the importance of leveraging other people's money. That's what the wealthy do. Point blank, period. You know, they make money off of other people's money. All of us sitting here right now, the bank where we have our money, there, the bank is investing our money right now while we're sitting here. That's how they make their money. So I definitely believe in that. So I do have some properties free and clear, but you know, the equity that's in these properties, that's real money. So let's say you have a house free and clear, it's worth $300,000. You got $300,000 just sitting here doing nothing. You know, that's hard for me. So because I could take that 300,000 in a year, I can turn 300,000 into $1,000,000
Right.
easy in a year. So I'm not just gonna let it sit there looking pretty. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna reinvest it. And this is the thing. So when I get a little older, because I'm still a tenderoni, when I get a little older, I'll slow down with that a little bit. So like when my students come, my students who are in their 60s and 70s, I advise them a little different. When you're younger and you got a little more time, you can leverage the debt because most loans are like 30 years. I as an so most traditional loans for owner occupants are 30 years. So with investors, you'll see them at 15, 20, 25 years. You will get some at 30. I don't have any at 30. Most of mine are about 20. So I got 20 years to go. And then I'll pay them off even faster than that. So I'm in a position where I can take on this debt. The tenants are paying it down. I'm cash flowing extremely well. You know, I know a lot of people worry about like, what if I can't pay the mortgage? I mean, I just had a situation where during COVID, one person couldn't pay. I got cash flow for days from other properties that just paid the mortgage for that house. So I don't worry about it at this point. And then I do make enough money. Not that I would want this to happen, but I do make enough money to be able to cover, you know, my debt. But even if you can't, you know, your rental properties really create an ecosystem. You know, each property should contain itself, should be able to take care of itself.
Right.
But it did need a little help, you know, you can use your others to help you out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I think we got a couple more minutes. So
Okay.
try to wrap it up with you, right?
Okay. And I
Can,
see some questions. I wish I could get to them.
they got all kind of questions down there, but what people want to know definitely what makes a property a good rental property for you?
So it's all about the numbers. I always tell folks, get out of your feelings and get into the numbers. Point blank, period. You know, you can't be like, oh, you know, a lot of us, especially starting out, we go into these houses looking at them as if we're going to live in it. And I would do this and I would do that. No, it's all about the numbers. So for me, I prefer small multifamily properties or small to medium multifamily properties. I have had the opportunity to do some larger deals, but I love the flexibility and the control that I have with the smaller stuff. You know, when you get into larger buildings and syndication and just, you know, just more stuff to deal with. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just not what I'm
You're
focused on right now.
right.
Mm-hmm. It may become my thing one day because I'm always
Growing, always growing.
yeah, I am. And you know, I get something down and then I'm like, okay, I need a new challenge. know. So so yeah, I like the control of, you know, the smaller multifamily properties. I certainly prefer them over singles because, you know, a lot of landlords just experience this with COVID. If somebody can't pay, you still have income coming in, which is a beautiful thing. And then with multifamilies, it's just a huge cost savings. Let's say you have 4 units in one building, but you still have one roof, one front door, one front sidewalk, you know, all that good stuff. So you know, you save money by having as many units as possible under one roof.
Gotcha. And then for your tenants, like what makes a tenant a good tenant versus a bad tenant?
Sure, that's a great question because I know people are like, "Oh, tenants, I don't want to do this." But you know, you should vet them properly. So you want to do. A lot of folks forget to do the eviction check. You got to do an eviction check. You want to do a background check. And I'll tell you right now, people with a sketchy past or people who don't plan to pay their rent, they do intentionally prey on private landlords. They don't go to the big apartment buildings because they know they'll evict them in a second. They have all the attorneys, everything in place. They prey on, I learned that very early on, over a decade ago, they prey on small private landlords. So you have to do the same background check. So you got to do the background check, the eviction check, the credit check, you know, get their pay stubs. So make sure they're actually employed. And you know, just doing that alone is gonna make a big difference. Make sure that their income is at least 3 times non-negotiable. It has to be 3 times the rent, because if their income is only, you know, one and a half times or 2 times, how they gonna get food? How they gonna get gas in their car? They
Right.
gonna, and they're not gonna pay you rent, you know.
Right.
So and then I am in a place now where I have somebody else doing that for me. So I don't, at this point, I don't even meet my tenants anymore. I don't know their names. I like it that way personally. But I am still, you know, with my property manager every day, and I do property manage in-house. I did outsource it at one point, and I will never, ever outsource property management again, ever, ever. It was horrible. And I had 2 property managers. It was horrible. And nobody's going to care about your baby and your money. Like that's my cash flow.
Right.
And no, never again. I was just in a tight situation because I had a family emergency that went on for like 6 months with an ill family member that I took some time to take care of. And so I was like, all right, let me get a property manager. But they suck. So anyway, I would never outsource that again. It's in-house. As your portfolio grows, you use systems to help you, you know, manage all the tenants. So there's a portal where my tenants go to request repairs and to pay their rent. And everyone's paying rent through ACH. We're not collecting Mr. Bob's check and Cash App from Tiffany. And we're not doing that. Everybody, you know, is paying automatically through the portal every month. And so that's how I manage that.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So my very, very, very last question. If you had
Make
to
good.
if you had to start over, can you give us like 3 to 5 things you would do if you had to start over and just rebuild from the bottom again?
Oh, wow. If I had to start over and rebuild from the bottom again, I would certainly still use the BRRR strategy. I would not be afraid to just jump into multifamily right away. I would go straight to what I'm doing now. So when I started out, I started doing heavy cosmetic rehabs. And now I'm doing, you know, houses I buy. They don't have no back wall, no roof. It's not even, it's like, is it really a house? You know, so but it's a value add play. The house has little value, but once I put my hands on it, it has tons of value. And I take that value to the bank and I cash in on it. So I would tell folks to do that as well. And look, yeah, I'm buying a bunch of units every year, but honestly, if you just starting out, if you pick up one property a year, one, especially if you start young, one property a year every year for like 5 years time, I mean, that it adds up significantly.
Right.
So don't feel like you got to be buying 20 units like me, whatever. Buy one, and it makes a huge difference.
Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate that. And can you give us like your top three real estate, well, not real estate books, just your top three books in general? Like you got any like favorite books?
Um, so some of the books that have changed my life, one is No More Mondays. I read that a long time ago. The author is Dan. Gosh, it was so long ago. I have it in my library right here still, but I read it over 10 years ago. And that was the book that really helped me shift my mindset around not working for anybody anymore. Um,
Okay.
it just talked about how, job security, there's no security in job security. And a lot of people are seeing that with COVID. A lot of us got let go. So that's one of my favorites. The Millionaire Next Door. I'm sure you've heard that one
Right.
before. So I love that one. And if I had to give a third book, what would my third book be?
Or it could be podcast, don't matter.
Well, podcast. If I had to give a podcast right now, I'm loving, Earn Your Leisure. I did a class for them. They have an amazing community, and they have a real estate club. So I obviously would encourage folks to come hang out with me in my class. But if you're not there yet, or you're still trying to figure out if real estate is for you or how exactly you want to invest, being a member of EYL, their investment club
Okay.
is the move for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, again, like I said, salute to you. Wishing you nothing but success in 2021 and beyond. Thank you again. Just let the people know your social media again and when your class is.
Okay. So it's at Atia Blair, Attiyaah, and Blair, Blair. My class is coming up February 6th and 7th. It's a Saturday, 2 action-packed days where I'm talking about the entire real estate investing process from beginning to end. It's an experience-based learning environment, so you're actually doing the work, and that's why you see my students buying property 30 days later, 45, 60 days later, because I'm actually helping them do the work. It's not just, me up there talking about something hypothetical. We're actually doing the work. And you leave with a real estate family, people who you could do deals with. And there's certainly some accountability after class. It's a game changer. I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of my students. All the success that they're having. It's a beautiful thing. So anybody who's serious, and this is only for people who are serious about real estate investing. We ain't playing no games in here. So if you're serious and you're ready, I'd love for you to come hang out with me.
And this is virtual or in person?
I love doing it in person, but COVID is putting a squeeze on us. From my last one in October, we had to scramble to change hotels because of COVID restrictions. So we're just going to go all virtual this time.
Okay.
Same amazing experience. There's an official curriculum for my class, so everybody will get a physical copy of that and some other gifts I mail out right before class, so you have all the materials. And yeah, everybody's still going to get, we're doing a property tour, virtual property tour. I have, several members of my team will be at my actual rehabs, and I'll be, walking the students through that, explaining, what they need to look for, how to avoid costly mistakes. Because I tell folks all the time, everybody wants to invest in real estate. Tons of money if you do it well, but if you do it wrong, you can lose tons of money. People are not talking about that, so it's definitely best. And YouTube University is great, but it's not going to give you. It's going to give you bits and pieces of information, not the information you need to actually. You got to be able to put all that information together to actually get a deal done. And so yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Nah, that's what's up. But definitely, I appreciate you. So definitely hit the link in the Tia's bio to find out about her class, to get registered, and all those cool things that she's going to have coming along for the rest of this year. And then, for us, don't forget next week, we're going to have Mark on here, Mark Brown. So
Oh, my
everybody,
buddy, Mark.
yep, everybody's always asking, like, how to get the money, where to get the money.
Yes, he's
So
a
we're
good
going to
guy.
the finance guru himself here next Thursday to talk about how to get loans, what you need to look like, how to improve your credit, all that good stuff. So we'll be back next Thursday. Stay tuned, and then I'm also excited because next Saturday is my first boot camp that I'm dropping. I got my 10 students. I made
Awesome.
it for students only, so I'm super pumped to go ahead and start building my tribe and getting those people out there to help changing their family's life. So
I love
thank you, Tia. We appreciate you. Anything else you want to leave them off with, or are you good?
Uh, Yeah, that's it. I mean, I would love to answer some questions, but I want to respect your timing and
No,
and
I mean, I'm good on time. I got a couple minutes. If you want to scroll through,
so let
let me
me
see if
see.
we got questions. Um, Somebody asked, how many units do you own? If you want to answer that.
My answer to that is always not enough. Not,
Somebody asked, what's the name of the portal that you use?
which
If that's the portal that you use for the tenants.
right now I'm using Yardi.
Yardi,
Yeah,
Y-A.
Yardi. Yeah, YA, like how the Jamaicans say Yardi. So it's YARDIE. That's when you have a larger portfolio because it's not the cheapest software that you can use, but it's robust. It's perfect for what I need. For folks who are just starting out, 1 to 5 units, 10 units even, you can use Cozy. It's 100% free. When your tenants pay rent, it just takes maybe like 2 or 3 days for you to get your money. Probably because they invest in the money. It's like why would it be free? But anyway, I used to use it. It works really well. It's super dependable, even though it's free. That was the thing I was scared of. I was like, it's free, like they can just do something. But anyway, I suggest you guys use that starting out.
Somebody asked, what advice could you give a 60-year-old person starting out?
Oh, I mean, really, you would start out just like anybody else, but I would just advise you to be less risky, like not take any super risky investments. Just be really solid, really sure about your numbers. So for example, for me, I'll pick up some properties where I don't cash out a whole lot of money. I might break even, but I cash flow $3,000-4,000 a month. I would recommend someone doing this strategy to have both the equity and the cash flow. So just be more conservative.
Somebody else asked, when dealing with hard money, does your personal credit matter?
Of course. So it depends on who you work with. So the requirements are going to be different. Some people will take like a high fives, not many. People like to at least see you in the mid 600s. Certainly once you're 700 above, you're in pretty good shape. Um, yeah, hard money, it does matter. They base the business credit that they give you, because I'm buying most of these properties in an LLC, so they base the business credit that they give you on your personal credit. And if you're working with and this is a tip, some hard money lenders, they will pull your credit for every deal. And some will just pull it once at the beginning of the relationship. So the one that I work with most frequently, they pulled my credit once 3 years ago, and they see that they keep getting their money back from these deals, so they keep giving money. Right. But there was one that I was working with. They want to pull my credit for every deal. No, ma'am. No, sir. We're not doing that, because those add up, especially with how much I buy.
Right.
A question that you want to ask a hard money lender when you go to work with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And somebody else asked, and what kind of return do you give your investors? And do you only invest in Pennsylvania?
So if you are interested in becoming a private investor of mine, just shoot me a DM and I can go over how I would structure the returns. But I've purchased properties in North Carolina and Maryland. I'm actually sitting in Maryland right now. A lot of people don't know this about me. I live in the DMV and I live in Philly.
Okay.
I don't even know if you knew that.
Did not. I did not.
So
But
I was in Philly like 2 days ago.
I'm like, why would you go to eat down there just to go to dinner? But I'm like, hey, do your thing.
Because I was at my house down here. So I'm in my Maryland home right now, like 10 minutes outside of DC.
The freedom of real estate, you could get up and do that. Is we not having no limits and no boundaries. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and my family's here, and I love my people.
Being
So
around family.
initially, I did move to Philly, but I could not take being away from them. So I was like, and my husband and I, we're free birds, man. So he does work a job, but he does extremely well. He's at the top of the food chain, so he can move however he wants to. So it works for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was the bulk of the questions, unless you see something that I didn't see.
Okay. Um, One person said, what percentage of your real estate portfolio involves partners? I have no partners. I own everything, just me. And I do encourage partnerships if you can find the right partner. But I've seen a lot of partnerships go sideways. So I do have private investors, but once they give me the money, I pay them back. I don't have anyone who's investing with me long term. All of my investments are just me for now. And I'm open. So if there's someone listening to this that has a deal that maybe you have the money, but you don't have the experience and you like to partner with me, I'm open to that. It's just not something I've done yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, definitely, like I said, definitely appreciate you. And so enjoy your time in Maryland until we see you again in Philly. Remember the first time you rolled up on me. Remember when we met in Southwest?
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember.
Yep.
I was leaving a project on the way home. Yeah.
Right. You was going to yours. I'm coming out of mine. So
that's what I was like, scared. Yeah.
No, but definitely. Oh, somebody asked, do you have a different LLC for each property?
Yeah, so there are really different ways you can do that. But for the most part, I do get new LLCs for every property, but after a while it's just like, ooh, child, this is a lot of LLCs and you got to pay for filing. A lot of people don't think, they think it's sexy. Oh, I got all these LLCs, but you have to pay for a separate tax filing. So that's really a question you should ask your accountant about. But sometimes what I will do, if I'm buying houses, like right now I got a triplex under contract where I already own 2 buildings on that same block. So I'm just going to throw it in the same LLC. So I do that sometimes if I have, but I try to minimize my risk and my liability, because getting sued, I mean, that's a real thing, you know.
I've been there once.
Say it again?
I said I've been there once.
Yeah, so I'm actually dealing with one right now. It's totally frivolous, but it's a lawsuit nonetheless. I'll talk about
it. It's always.
It's ridiculous. So just imagine this property is in an LLC isolated to itself. Imagine if it wasn't, that would be a problem. So you really got to think about that. But look, I got buddies. I got this one buddy. He owns like 80 properties and they're all in his name. He just don't even care. So you can
got a big insurance policy though, probably.
Exactly. A big umbrella policy, tons of insurance. So you got to do what makes sense for you. But what makes sense for me is, putting these properties in different LLCs. And now I'm getting into trust. Actually, I've actually started to really protect certain assets by putting them in trust. So you can't even find it.
Right. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you. Anybody else got any other questions, concerns, or things they want to ask?
Oh, somebody just said their girlfriend just bought a duplex. She was in my class. Hey.
Congrats. Congrats.
Someone asked, what markets do I invest in? I think I answered that. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Maryland. When's the next class? I do them about every 5 months, so June. Do you invest in stocks?
No, the class February. Is that one sold out already?
No, I have a few seats left, but they said the next one after February. When is it? If they can't make February, they asked when's the next one. So that'll be around June. Somebody asked if hey Greg asked if I invest in stocks. I can't invest. I'm in a unique situation where because of where my husband works, works in the financial services industry, and his company, they do a lot of work for these big companies, all the big companies. And so if I invest in them, it causes an independence issue. So I literally cannot invest in most stocks. So happy for all the people who bought Tesla early. I wasn't one of them. I cannot.
The big homie Greg is in here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my man as well. I sat on the panel with Greg. Greg is the truth. Somebody just asked, they did a wholesale deal and they made about 20 grand. What would be their next, what do you think their next step should be?
Yeah, so you should use that money as to pick up your next property for sure. So you should do a similar BRRRR deal, but find a hard money lender to fund it. And if you buy a property, so if you have 20 grand, that is, right under $100,000. So find something cheaper than that. So when they require you to put that 25% down, you're using your own money. So you can use it for that. Or if you have somebody to put that deposit down for you, keep in mind when you get these hard money loans for the construction piece, they're not, so the one I'm about to do, they're giving me $150,000 for construction, but they're not giving me that at the closing table. I get the work done, I do $40,000 of work, then they come look at it, then they give me 40,000. I do $20,000 of work, they come look at it, and they give me the 20 back. So you can hold that 20,000 for your renovations when you have a hard money lender funding it.
Right. So, and one thing I would say, I mean, that person that's got that 20, do a situation where do one more wholesale deal, and then once you double up on your wholesale deal, then you got a situation where you're really in a comfortable position, and you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, or it's not a tight margins for you.
Yeah, and the lenders, they prefer to lend to people who don't need the money. So if you go to a hard money lender, they're going to ask you like how much extra reserves, cash you have, and so you being able to show that will be good and make them feel good about giving you more money.
Right. That, and my last little tidbit with that would be, I would say, get your credit in order,
Yeah.
because beginning, like, it's one thing to have a couple of dollars, but if your credit is A1, it'll make it a lot easier for you to talk to a hard money lender or any of these lenders, honestly.
Yeah, I tell you the truth. Sometimes I put properties in the contract. I don't know. I don't have the money in the bank, and I don't, but I have good credit. I have experience, and I do have cash. So I know I have that's power, and second to, cash is king, credit is queen, it can be king because if your cash is limited and you can get more credit than you have cash, well, then credit is king. So definitely having your credit in order, it's a game changer.
Somebody at one hit away. Stop that. Oh, that's my man. But question, somebody wants to know hard money. Can you give any hard money recommendations, or is that also in your class? Do you give it in your class?
Yeah, I wouldn't give that out right here, but what I love, I actually bring one of my favorite lenders into the classroom, and because there are a lot of people calling themselves hard money lenders, and they're really sharks taking advantage of folks. I've heard like all kinds of crazy stories, like people paying the hard money lender like thousands of dollars to get a deal done, which that is not how that's supposed to go. So definitely, do your research and make sure they are true. The best way to find any, whether it's a hard money lender, your contractors, whatever, just referrals, work with people who work with them already. And speaking of team members, Greg asks, do I have a team of lawyers? Yeah, man, it's a whole team of everybody behind me. I don't make this work at this point. There was a point where I was bootstrapping and doing it all by myself, but certainly at this point, I have a team and I'm grateful for it. And so I have a few different types of attorneys. I have a real estate attorney, like a general liability attorney, and then a tax attorney. So yeah, I got some attorneys.
That's what's up. Now I'm learning as I'm going. Like, I'm only 7 years in. You got the 14 in, but I'm learning now. Like, yo, you definitely got to leverage yourself so you can do more, and you don't got to know everything, but know enough so that you could start working with other people that know the other stuff you don't know. And
Exactly.
it's okay to pay them people. Like, yo, you can't be the painter, the plumber, the landlord, and all that stuff. Like, no, let them people make their money so you can make your money.
I mean, that's a whole sermon right there. And a lot of us don't get that. And, I'm at my core, I'm cheap, right? I'm cheap.
Okay.
Like, woo, child. Like, come on, sis. Like, spend some more money than that. I've had to learn not to be cheap. And certainly in business, I've had to learn outsourcing. And again, having a coach, I sat down with my coach a little over a year ago, and I was like, yo, I'm struggling. And she's like, she took a holistic look at my business. She's like, you're struggling because you're doing the work for like 5 or 6 people. And she's like, the first thing you need to do is hire a full-time assistant. And I didn't want to do that, but she's like, Atia, you can afford it. And so I hired a full-time assistant. I won't say how much I pay her because that's her personal private information, but I pay her very well. It's a salary that I'd like to get, very respectable. I didn't want to give up that money, but because I hired her, I
You
make
make
multiple six figures.
more,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I've added multiple six figures to my business in the past year because I hired her so that instead of spending my time doing $10 tasks, $20 tasks, $30 an hour tasks, I pay her to take care of all, and then the stuff I don't like or the stuff I'm just not good at. Me and paperwork, it's just something about it. Don't come together. You know, it could literally be some paperwork that takes me 5 minutes to do, and I will take 5 days or 5 months to do this 5 minutes. I'm not over exaggerating. So anyway, by having her come in, I am now I make like I've multiplied what I'm paying her because I'm outsourcing, and I've hired a lot of people. So after I got her rolling, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. So we need somebody for social media. We need somebody for this, for that, everything. I outsource everything to free me up to focus on profit producing activities in my business. And it's a game changer.
Nah, I call it the big business structure. So like again, I'm learning like, yo, we get taught as entrepreneurs like we want to be independent. But the real entrepreneurs or the successful ones, they're independent, but they're dependent on other people. So
Mm-hmm.
they can't do what they do without those other people. So I salute you for learning that as well. I just hired my first VA
Awesome.
this year. So
Okay.
like it's week 2, so we still learning the good and the bad. You know,
That's where it starts. That's where it starts. And I honestly, I love providing jobs. I am feeding families for my contractors, for my assistant, and all of my other contractors, even the ones outside of the real estate space, my photographers and videographers, all those folks. But certainly for the people who work with me, because I do have some contractors who are, pretty much exclusive with me. I have the full-time employee. I'm providing jobs for people. That's amazing. I'm helping to feed people's families. That's just, I love that. So that's what small business is about. Not just us accumulating, as much money as possible, but us providing jobs for other people.
nah, definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm gonna let you go. We don't want hubby saying we kept you up too long,
It's all
messing with
good.
his Instagram live. But we definitely
They'd be like, where my
appreciate you.
woman at in a minute?
No, and I already know my kids will be looking for me soon enough. They like, Daddy,
Yeah,
Daddy.
come shut it down.
Right, right.
The
You know,
boss.
but definitely appreciate you. Again, make sure you hit the link in her bio. Get with her for her classes. A few seats left for the February class. The next class will be in June. And then also stay on the lookout. Next Thursday, we'll be back talking about the financial part about real estate investing with Mark Brown. And also check the link in my bio for all other resources you may need for real estate. But thank you again, Queen. Definitely appreciate you. Like I said, wishing you nothing but success.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on here. And I'm super proud of you. I've definitely been watching you doing your thing. And I just love it. And, folks like you and I, we just keep doing what we do, letting people see it, exposing people to what's possible, and then sharing our knowledge with others. And it changes our entire community. And so hats off to you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the weekend for you. It's Friday now. So,
Yeah.
turn
But
up your.
Friday now is like Monday, basically with COVID. You just, same thing. But it's all good.
Well, it's cool. You down DC, so you're gonna get something good to eat somewhere. Even if you got to grab it and take it back in the house.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely. But salute, and guys, I'm gonna get this saved for y'all so y'all can replay and check it out. But thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure. Much love. Have a good night,
Salute.
guys. All
Thank
right.
you.